right before I made my first trans-related YouTube video, I remember feeling really confused and isolated, and I felt alone. And after making that video and after having the response that I did, where so many, and I mean thousands of people, hundreds of thousands of people contacted me and they were like, wow, I'm agender too. This makes me feel so comfortable. Thank you for making this video. This is exactly how I feel. And it was really liberating to see so many people and to find that community. And it was like the biggest confidence boost ever of, oh my gosh, we really are out here. We're not alone. So transgender means that my gender identity does not align with my gender assigned at birth. And I personally identify with agender, which means that I don't feel like I have a gender. So when I was younger, my mom, she expressed to me that she was really homophobic, and she grew up in this really small town in West Virginia, and she was really conservative and Republican. And she has grown so much because now she's like my biggest supporter and my biggest fan, my biggest friend. She went through a hard time when I first expressed the idea that I was bisexual when I was 12, when my sister came out as trans. And with both of her kids coming out as LGBTQ at about the same time, for my homophobic mom, that was a bit of a shock. And I remember she just had this moment where she just realized, you know, these are my kids and I love them and I want them to still be here tomorrow. And I want them to grow up and I want them to lead happy lives. Her biggest concern was my safety. Understandably, as my mom, she wants me to be safe. And she knows that the world isn't super great for transgender folks, and that there are a lot of risks and a lot of safety concerns. And I think what occurred to her was that she can change the world, but she can't change me. There's no way for me to know how someone else experiences their gender, as there's no way for them to know exactly how I experience mine. And that's why we tend to go with broader labels so that we can find community and find people with similar experiences. And so some people, it's important to know, like labels, and they like the idea of finding community. When I was 16 is when I first came out as agender, and then from there on, I started going by the name Chandler. I think I was 18 and a day when I went to legally change my name, and I'm lucky enough that in the state where I'm from, or where I legally changed my name, that all you had to do as an adult was pay $45, and then they would legally change your name. I went back and forth deciding if I wanted to start testosterone for a long time. I wasn't sure if I really wanted to. It was something that I really wanted, but I didn't know if it was right for me. Ever since I was 14 and I first came out as transgender, I had thought about it on and off and on and off. And I figured in my head that because I was so back and forth about it, it'd be better to just not do it until I was sure it was something I wanted to do. And so after I turned 18, that was when I got my first job, because I moved out of my parents' house. And it was while I was at this job that I started to consider testosterone more seriously. I was typically mistaken as either a 16-year-old girl or like a 14-year-old boy because of my high-pitched voice. But because I was working in this environment, it's everyone who came up to me, automatically their brain is categorizing me, and they figure that I already have to be at least 16 years old. So then they think that my high-pitched voice is because I'm a girl. So when I got this job and every single customer ever was referring to me as a girl, it started to make me really uncomfortable, because I didn't feel balanced, I didn't feel androgynous anymore, and that's why I decided to start testosterone was because I felt that I needed that balance and I needed to feel more androgynous inside my body, and I needed to feel that I was androgynous to other people. I had a generally good experience in high school, but that's because Xander, my partner, is a year older than me, and so he kind of was the first out trans person at our school, and he had to be the one to fight with them about letting him use the right bathrooms and letting him wear the right robe at graduations. I was one of the very few non-binary people to come out. I think most everyone else was a trans guy who came out. And so while they were being respected and they got to use the right bathroom and people were using the right pronouns for them for the most part. But when I was in high school, no one ever used the right pronouns for me, even when I would correct them or express, hey, it makes me a little uncomfortable when you say that. And now to this day, there are a lot of people, grown adults, that find my YouTube channel just to tell me that I'm just some weird kid and to get over it. The videos that I make online, I gear them towards younger folks who are trying to figure themselves out. And I just try and be casual, and what's really important to me is the idea of normalizing LGBTQ people. And so I like to just show myself as an LGBTQ person who's just doing things and living life. That's always like my main focus when I if I'm filming with a crew, or if I'm just making YouTube videos in my room, or if I'm giving talks at schools, or traveling, or doing panels, or whatever. That's always what matters the most to me, is showing that I am a person, a real person, and that this is how I'm experiencing life. I also try to show that LGBTQ people can live happy, healthy, and successful lives. Because when I was younger, that was the thing that I feared the most. I thought it was impossible for me to be transgender and to simultaneously be an adult. I could not see a future whatsoever. And so that's the most important thing to me with working with LGBTQ youth, which is what I do mainly, is showing them it is possible to grow up, it is possible to be LGBTQ, it is possible to be trans and an adult and to live a happy and healthy and successful life. And then to also show other adults who maybe aren't LGBTQ that we aren't some far removed part of society that's only in San Francisco. We exist everywhere, and we're living life everywhere and being ourselves in all parts of the world.